Art is almost never a waste of time. This sentiment is pretty common, though, something that we run into frequently, and I've grown resentful of it the older I've gotten. In fact, I've gone so far beyond resentment, I'm actually coming out on the other side of it now, where it's just an understanding that people that hold that view are coming from a place of ignorance usually. It's a lack of understanding of the purpose of art, and that art's purpose is multifaceted and often very much linked to the individual who is making that art. In this moment, I am making a drawing, yes, but this drawing is going to be for a video, the very video that I'm recording this audio for a week later. It's the continuation of a series. It's a page in my sketchbook. It's relaxing. It's utilizing my body. It's giving my brain things to think about, problems to solve, which keeps me young and keeps me in a better state of mind. And this is just this single drawing of some kind of robotic large cat. And this is, as far as drawings go, a low purpose, waste of time kind of drawing. And yet, even though it's such a small thing in the grand scheme of my art journey, of my life as a whole, I don't remember the last time that I regretted sitting down and committing myself to a drawing. I've regretted a lot of time spent playing video games, a lot of time spent scrolling on Instagram or watching YouTube videos that are just nonsense. I've wasted a lot of time in my life. I've had the luxury to do so, and truly, it is a luxury to have the time to waste. But art, I don't recall very many times in my life where art of my own volition has been something that I regretted later on. Sure, I had assignments in school that I thought were pretty dumb, that were art projects of one kind or another, but even those I look back on now and either have a laugh or a funny memory or something else associated with it. In my first sculpture class in college, one of the projects was to design a pair of shoes that we could walk across, I think, a 30-foot gap while wearing. And we could build these only out of cardboard. And that project was a little bit goofy. I kind of understand, at least at some level, what the teacher's purpose was, but it was a silly project. And in the moment, I thought it was pretty silly. I, of course, just coiled up the cardboard and was like, this will be very easy, and created sandal straps for myself. And it was not a struggle. It just took time. Another project for that class was to use line and illustrate a song. And this was another project that I thought was a little bit strange. I remember getting a piece of PVC and actually measuring out when instruments came in one of my favorite songs, and then drilling holes into that PVC and putting colored twine on there to represent each of the instruments. I thought this was pretty interesting and an intriguing way to go about finishing this project. And about halfway through it, I was like, this is taking way too much time and nobody's going to double check me on things, which I was, of course, 100% right about. And so I just kind of BS'd the rest of it. And of course, did just fine on the project. I remember looking at some of the other versions and going, well, that's really cool. I wish I would have thought of that. And then I remember one of the versions just being a girl who came into class and just wore a ribbon over skin-colored clothing. And that was her example. You ran into some interesting things in art school, that's for sure. But another project that was a little bit strange, and in the same train of thought, was we had to design a self-portrait of ourselves, three-dimensionally, using only cardboard. And this was kind of intriguing. I made a model of myself sitting atop a pylon like a gargoyle, and then I built that out of cardboard. And it was kind of an intriguing process. Lots of measuring, lots of thinking about how I'm going to do this. I think that the model could not be smaller than 3/4 of our size or half our size, so you would have to measure the length of your forearm and then subdivide it. It was a really intriguing process, and I actually remember that project being fun. I also remember it taking a gargantuan amount of time. I think that project alone took me 25 or 30 hours, and I remember frequently working after dark at the school. But that was just a sign of things to come. So even those art projects, silly or weird as they were, still had some purpose to me. But I mean primarily your own work, When you decide to sit down and draw horses, or trees, or mushrooms, or weird, gory battles from an anime that you love, those drawings are very seldom a waste of time. Most likely, they do something for you, and that's valuable. That's valid. It's okay if a drawing just simply makes your day a little bit better. Now, again, I often approach things from the stance that this is a hobby. If you are working on your art to become a professional, to work on this as your career someday, then perhaps there are things that are a waste of time. But they become different. And even if that is the aspect that you're approaching this through, you are going to find people in your life that still think art in general is a waste of time. So let's assume that whatever your artwork is, you are working on it with specific purpose. Maybe that purpose is joy. Maybe that purpose is working through some trauma in your life. And maybe that purpose is to get a job. Assuming that you are following a path like that, your art is not a waste of time. It is not a waste of space. It is a valid expression as a human, a valid adventure and exploration of reality. And it's important. Some of the most important things we as humans have ever accomplished have been artistic things. Half the reason we know what the world looked like way back in the day is because an artist at some point decided it was important enough to put something on the side of a cave wall, or to etch something into the ground or into a piece of stone, to paint a pot that was only going to be used for water or wine, to put a mosaic on the front porch that says, "Beware of dog." We as humans have engaged in art as long as we have engaged in almost any other activity that we have. And you don't find historians, especially art historians, looking at those things and going, well, this was a waste of time until we discovered it. Or this art was a waste of time in general. No, we do this to ourselves in the moment, and other people do this to us. But your art has purpose, whether it is trying to earn you a paycheck, or whether it's simply to deal with the day. And those are valid explorations as a human being. Life is tough sometimes. And sometimes we need something to relax, something to channel our energies into, something to focus on. Your art is not purposeless. It is not worthless. It is not meaningless. It is important. And maybe it's important to you alone, but it might be important to other people as well. Though it can often be stressful for us as artists to share our work, I've found that it's really important to do so. It gets you out of your own head, first of all. If you have a tendency to look at your artwork and think it's not very good, the reality is you're probably wrong. And if you show that work to other people, you share it, you will find people that are either able to appreciate what you've done, or people that are similar in skill level to you, and they can take some solace in knowing that there are other people who are struggling with the same things that they're struggling with. In fact, getting advice from other artists is sometimes the best thing you can do for your own confidence, your understanding of your skill level and where you are, and also just for a sense of community and feeling like you belong. We have a Discord server attached to this channel, and you'll find a description for it below in pretty much every video I do. The reason for this is I'm a little bit old, and as you get older, there are fewer situations where you have a good community as an artist that you can just bump into. When I was in high school or college, even when I was teaching full-time, there was always a sense of community that was focused on the same thing. But as an adult, and for anybody who doesn't have the access to classes of some kind, it is difficult to have an artistic community. So myself and a friend built the Discord server a while back with the explicit and specific purpose of being a place for artists to gather, artists to spend time together, to rant and ramble about things, to get help on their artwork, to just be seen and be a normal human being in a world where artists are often seen as different or less than. It's important to have a group of people who understand that your need to create is a need. It is something inbuilt inside of you, something that does not make you strange or weird, but just makes you different. It just makes you an artist. Humans have always had this need. Not all humans, of course, but some humans have always had the need to make things, to create things. And frankly, most of the wonderful things that we enjoy on a daily basis, the things that bring true happiness to our lives, were created and designed by artists and creatives. So if you too have that urge, that desire, that need, remember, how could your artwork possibly be worthless or pointless? It can't be. It ties into something more human than human, the need to create, to be here, to exist, to pass something on, to have a legacy, to have something that carries on your presence beyond just yourself. So please keep creating, because it makes the world a better place. And because frankly, you're probably a terrible judge of the quality of your own work. Because so am I. Because most artists are. Because we're so hard on ourselves. So give some other people the opportunity to see your work, to spend some time absorbing it. And if I'm right, it might be best to make sure that those people are other artists, the people who are most likely to understand you. Well, as always, I hope this was of benefit to you, and thank you for listening. If you want to check out the Discord, it's in the link below. Thank you to patrons Who, What, Where, When, and Pale Spider for your continued support. I very much appreciate it. We do have a Patreon associated with this channel. If you want to check it out, there's a link below as well. Any support is appreciated, and it gives you access to outlines and scripts early, and the ability to engage with some additional content and dictate some of the things that I do here on the channel. Have a good one, y'all. See you soon.